Hello, my name is Shaka Nicholson. I have been here for almost a year now. It feels like it's almost been a year, but it's only been since August. And when I tell you that this job is everything that I've ever wanted to do, it is exactly that. When I first came in, I was what they called emergency services coordinator, meaning that when someone had issues or they were needing financial assistance due to there being a disconnect notice on one of their utility bills or whatever that was, they would call over the phone and we would go ahead and take their information and then pledge the amount to the utility companies. Well, now since January, we have switched our focus quite a bit. And as you can see, my phone is ringing because I always have 1,000 calls coming in daily. Basically, what we're doing now is what we're calling support services. So we've moved from emergencies. Emergencies can be whatever you think it is, but we moved towards support because I don't know if any of you are familiar with the book by Rick Warren called The Purpose-Driven Life. One of the things he talks about is doing life with people. And so that's what we're trying to do right now, is do life with our clients. We are helping some of the most vulnerable people there are. Today, I had a young lady come in who has experienced homelessness, her and her fiance. She has 6 boys, all of which she does not currently have right now, but they are still financially supporting their children, and it's because they're in flux. So in the prior 6 months leading up to where they are right now, they lived in cars. She said they also slept in abandoned houses, just wherever they could to be together and to stay together. When I was talking to her today, she needed help with her rent, and we made arrangements to be able to pay a portion of that. But she also talked about some of the other things that she faces on a day-to-day basis. She's a young lady who aged out of the foster care system. So she says she feels like she really doesn't have the same support that a lot of other people may have. And I talked to her about, her situation. I talked to her about some of her goals. We have a great follow-up meeting coming up in 2 weeks where I'm going to talk to her just to find out how she's doing and everything. But one of the things that I want to do with people is to help them build their resources. Whenever we think of resources, and the most important resources that we all need, we all think of money. Well, there's a whole lot more to it than just having money. Having connections, being able to network, knowing where to get help when you need help, all of that is included in resources as well. So we're really looking forward to actually getting in the trenches with them and doing work with them. Before coming here, I worked for 2 different Medicaid managed care organizations here in the state of Kentucky. So I was their community liaison. So I went to a lot of different meetings. I met with a lot of different people. I actually participated at health fairs, interagency meetings, you name it, I did it. And that was my job. Well, one thing I learned about while working inside the healthcare system is that now healthcare companies are not focused just on paying your medical bills. They're focusing more on social determinants of health. So one of the things we see a lot is overutilization of emergency rooms. If you have somebody that's going into the emergency room quite a bit, and let's say it's because it's something related to diabetes, and they ask him when they get in the hospital, hey, why are you not taking your insulin? Well, they find out that this individual doesn't have a refrigerator because he's homeless, he's living on the streets, or he's living in a hotel, out of hotel rooms, and so he doesn't have a place to store his insulin. So now health insurance companies are taking a look back and say, hey, we need to work more on social determinants of health, and housing and food security is a social determinant of health. So those are one of the things that I'm trying to work with my clients, is to let them know that it's more to it than what meets the eye. I've been a case manager with the state of Kentucky. I worked with the food stamp program, the Medicaid program, and I also worked with KTAP for young women and young men who are single parents. When I took the job here, I was kind of burned out on corporate life. I was thinking to myself, I get up every day and I do this work, and at the end of the day, I know it's important to the overall grand scheme of things, but I don't feel fulfilled. And that was something that I was searching for. So when this job came open, I felt like it was perfect. Growing up in church, I've always felt like a purpose-driven life was a life worth having. And so I've always wanted to be I've always wanted to fulfill my purpose, if that makes any sense. I feel like everyone has a ministry, and I feel like me being able to work here is fulfilling my ministry. One of the things I love to do is connect people to resources and just be an encouraging ear. We all have spiritual gifts that we have that we were given by God, I feel like. And I feel like one of my gifts that He's given me is to encourage someone. If there's nothing else I can do, I can encourage the mess out of you. I can send you random text messages, good morning messages. I can send you quotes. I can send you whatever I need. But at the end of the day, I see people for who they are. And I think that that's the most important thing that we can do here, is see people for who they are and meet them where they are. And that's what I feel like I'm called to do, is just to inspire, encourage, and motivate. It's not about us. It's about being able to help those who are in need. There are many stories in the Bible that I can think of where God used people for purposes bigger than them. For example, Queen Esther. When we think about Jonah, when he was headed down to Nineveh and he didn't want to go, it wasn't about him. It was about saving someone. It was about, for Queen Esther, was about saving her people. So it's always about saving others.